What's up, guys? It's your boy, Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be doing the match preview for Real Madrid versus Football Club Barcelona in La Liga. The first El Clásico is tomorrow. We've been eyeing this game now for about a month and a half, and this El Clásico has so much implication around it. The battle of the mids. Who will come out on top? Before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below, and let's try and get to 200 likes on this video. It would be very much appreciated. And also, if you are new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Kickoff time for this match will be taking place at 4:15 p.m. local time, so it is the early kickoff El Clásico. Do not forget as well the time in Europe has changed, so make sure you are aware of what time it is locally for you. And of course, this match will be taking place at the Santiago Bernabeu, which of course is the home of Real Madrid, the absolute toilet bowl. And the referee for this match has also been confirmed as well. On the pitch, it will be Cesar Soto Grado and Javier Iglesias on the VAR. Of course, last time Cesar Soto Grado refereed, and El Clásico was the 3-2 back in the Xavi's last season, where of course that controversy was there when the ball went over the line. Of course, we ended up losing 3-2, but he's quite a shit referee. But what can he do? Am I surprised? Absolutely not. Let's start off by taking a look at the league table, where Barcelona are currently sat in second place in La Liga on 22 points after playing 9 matches. We have 7 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. Real Madrid, top of La Liga, 2-point advantage on Barcelona, set on 24 points. After 9 matches, they have 8 wins and 1 loss. So of course, that 1 draw against Rayo Vallecano is what's causing Barcelona not to be at least level on points with Real Madrid. Our 1 loss coming against Sevilla, their 1 loss coming to 4th place Atletico Madrid. Very quickly, if you look at the top teams who will be facing this weekend, the big game other than of course El Clásico is Real Betis hosting Atletico Madrid at the Cartuja Stadium. Of course, there's nobody to be ready this season. They're going under renovation, so they're at the Cartuja for the season. So that's also a big game. I believe Real Betis are sat in 5th, but they have the same amount of points as Atletico Madrid, so they're only ahead on goal difference. So that's going to be a good game. I think that's on Monday as well, so make sure you tune in and check the scoreline for that game. But of course, quite similar with Barcelona and Real Madrid this season. Barcelona scoring 24 goals, Madrid only scoring 20. We conceded 10, and they've conceded 9. Of course, of the 9, 5 coming in one game against Atletico Madrid. So I think that really overshadows their defensive record. We of course have conceded a lot of single goals, like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and they of course got all of theirs in one game. That's why they have a bit more clean sheets than us. But you can say the defense and the attack is quite similar. Again, we only have a +3 goal difference in total positively against Real Madrid, so it's quite neck and neck, just that one result being the difference, which of course leaves Real Madrid on top of the table for now. Let's now take a look at our opponents in Real Madrid. After Barcelona, they're probably the next biggest club and most successful club in the world, and of course makes this game even more enticing than it already is. The last time these two teams faced was of course at the end of last season at the Montjuic, where Barcelona were victorious by a scoreline of 4-3. Of course, it was 4-2 at halftime. We were 2-0 down, brought it back to 4-2. You can see a 1v1 near the end of the second half. Of course, Barcelona also coming at the back of winning all 4 El Clásicos last season, 2 of them being in cup finals as well. And if you take a look at Madrid's last 5 matches in all competition, in their last match, they beat Juventus 1-0, they beat Getafe 1-0, they beat Villarreal 3-1, they beat Caracat 5-0, and they lost 5-2 to Atletico Madrid. So 2 clean sheets in the last 2 games. They've not conceded a goal since post-international break. And let's take a look at those 3 games. Firstly, the win before the international break against Villarreal 3-1. Of course, Villarreal, the 3rd best team in the Liga as of right now, and they did rotate their team, so that's something to keep in mind. But you can see, of course, the Madrid's lineup on the right-hand side of the screen, with Mastantuono on the right-hand side, Valverde at right back, and the rest of the team being, as similar as you can be. No Jude Bellingham at the time. Quite a tight match. I think it went halftime 0-0. They just scored to make it 1-0 and 2-0. Villarreal pulled one back to make it 2-1, and then Madrid went on to win the game. But again, Villarreal did rest their 3 or 4 best players in this game, which shows that if they were full strength, things could happen. Again, that first 20 minutes, Villarreal had the better chances. They were on top. If they scored, they could have easily went 1-0 up in this game. But of course, Madrid do have that luck on their side. They go on to win the game 3-1. Next up, their 1-0 win against Getafe. Jude Bellingham now is back. Vinicius drops to the bench. Dean Huijsen out injured with the Spain international duty. Franco Mastantuono still keeps a spot on the right-hand side. A very tight game. We know the terroristic football of Getafe. The goal came from Kylian Mbappe. Nice slip-through ball from Araujo. Turn and finish from Mbappe around the 70th minute. But again, they still leaked chances. Of course, Getafe went down to 9 men. One of the red cards being unjudged for Neom. The other one was probably a red card. Not probably, it was a red card, the second yellow. And they still conceded chances after that. They had a 2-minute advantage, and yet again, they almost conceded in the 90th minute. During the first half as well was, a quite contested match. But Madrid keep the clean sheet, get the W. No real surprises in the end there. And finally, the last match of all competition was in midweek at the Bernabeu on Wednesday. Juventus, another 1-0 victory. The goal coming in from Bellingham. It was Vinicius who did the good work. He had a good shot, low driven from the left-hand side, hit the post, and then Bellingham taps in the open net rebound. Again, Juventus in this game had chances. Jonathan David, Kalulu, Vlahovic. I think Juventus put in, a decent shift. Madrid again not looking too impressive. This time they went with Brahim Diaz on the right wing, Araujo and Bellingham both playing in the midfield, with Araujo playing in that deeper position. Valverde still keeping his spot at right back. So again, interesting how Xabi Alonso is setting up this team and how they're getting through games. Again, they're getting a lot of luck on their side. They're getting narrow victories this season as well. Don't even take away the 2 recent 1-0s. They haven't looked that convincing. Again, the defense has been strong, but going forward, they still lack that extra spark and do need things to go their way in order to achieve a significant scoreline. Now on the screen right now is a line that I believe that Xabi Alonso will be selecting for this match. I think I'll go with the 4-3-3 with Thibaut Courtois in goal, a back four of Valverde, Asensio, Eder Militao, and Alvaro Carreras. A midfield 3 of Tchouaméni, Arda Güler, and Jude Bellingham. A front 3 of Franco Mastantuono, Kylian Mbappe, and Vinicius Jr. Dean Huijsen has recovered for this game. I just don't think Xabi Alonso is going to chuck him straight back in after an injury in the El Clásico. He might. There's a good chance of that. It'll either be Asensio or Dean Huijsen pairing Eder Militao in the center back partnership. So we'll wait and see on that. Fullbacks are locked in. Here's where the choices come in. Of course, Mbappe and Kylian Mbappe will start. I think Tchouaméni in the 6 is guaranteed as well. The other 3, the 2, 8s, and the right wing, is where question mark comes in. We could see Camavinga coming in on the right-hand side in the midfield and Araujo shifting to the right-hand side. We could see Bellingham drop completely for Camavinga as well. I'm seeing a lot of Madrid fans really pushing for Camavinga to start this game. But I think that Xabi Alonso will go with balance and mainly focusing on keeping Araujo in the midfield. If you keep Güler in the midfield, I think he'll play him in that deep position like he did against Juventus, keeping Bellingham in his preferred 10. And of course, on the right-hand side, the best bet is probably Rodrigo being the best player, but Rodrigo has not played on the right wing whatsoever for Real Madrid this season. So I think he'll either go with Brahim Diaz or Franco Mastantuono, and of course Mastantuono, the more natural option out there, with Brahim Diaz basically being a midfielder playing out wide. But I think it depends on Xabi Alonso's trust in Franco. I think he does trust him, of course, that's why I predicted him to start. But if he doesn't trust him, I can very much well see Araujo playing off the right and Camavinga in the midfield. So that's where the question marks come in. Dean Huijsen and of course those 2 8s and the right wing. What kind of formation in terms of what players he selects will be in that inclusion. But I think that he will select this lineup for the match tomorrow. So overall, final thoughts on Real Madrid. Of course, on paper, they're basically a super team, but the super team isn't really performing on the pitch. They are managed by their manager, Xabi Alonso, in his first season under the helm as the Real Madrid manager following the sacking/departure of Carlo Ancelotti last season. He's had 2 big tests and he fought them both against PSG and Atletico Madrid. Again, Madrid are looking more comfortable, a little bit in possession, and especially look much better in their press. But again, not convincing overall. They're leaking goals again in the big moments. Going forward, they're having trouble breaking lines and finishing their chances. So it's not super convincing. And the only thing that really improved from Madrid from last season to now is the pressing both on and more specifically, I would say, off the ball. In terms of players to look out for, of course, I think the 2 main ones for me are Thibaut Courtois and Kylian Mbappe. I of course say Araujo as well is very much a dictator in the midfield, but Mbappe's pace and behind, his finishing, his form this season is scary. Thibaut Courtois comes in big and clutch in big moments for Real Madrid, and of course Araujo's ability to find spaces and find that final pass to Kylian Mbappe will be a major issue. Those are the 3 players for me that we need to nullify in this match, focusing of course mainly on Güler and Mbappe. You can't really nullify qualify Thibaut Courtois. But I do really hope that he plays Asensio. I hope he has a conundrum and maybe finds Arda Güler out wide on the right-hand side. I think if Güler starts on the right wing, I'll be much more satisfied. I really hope that Bellingham, is causing that controversy in the midfield and he starts. Of course, he's a threat. He's a fantastic player, but again, it will make the team a bit unbalanced, in my opinion, or may leave Arda Güler on the bench. Who knows? But most likely that won't be the case. But again, it's a strong team. They've definitely been better than Barcelona this season, only by a little bit. But again, there's still frailties in their side. Let's now discuss some of the injury updates around the first team at Barcelona. There is quite a few. Firstly, on the two that had gastroenteritis, the stomach flu in Andreas Christensen and Frankie de Jong, both fit, available, have trained. They're looking good to be in that squad list for tomorrow, so no worries there with them. Another big question mark is on Jules Kounde. He did miss the last 2 training sessions, but he did train today, so hopefully again there's more positive signs. I'll talk about that in the press conference reaction. We do have an update on him, so he should be okay. And we do have an update as well on Robert Lewandowski, who apparently is looking like he might come back early. Szczesny has been doing some press as well for the Polish media for El Clásico, and he's saying that I'm very confident that Lewandowski will come back earlier than expected, maybe even before the international break. Candace have said that Lewandowski is recovering very well from his injury. Yesterday, the Barcelona doctors were impressed seeing how quickly he has recovered. They even considered the option that he travels to Madrid, but yesterday seemed a bit too risky and hasn't done any group training yet. So he could have been maybe pushed a little bit for the Clásico, but of course we didn't end up selecting that. So again, we could maybe see him before the international break. That of course would be a big plus, especially if he sits out the international break. We'll wait and see what happens with that. And finally, of course, the big one is on Raphinha. He of course trained over the past few days. He looked good, and then yesterday everything collapsed and he suffered his second relapse of his injury. He is 100% ruled out for the El Clásico, and it looks like now he will be returning after the November international break. He's supposed to come back right after the October one, and now he's missing a whole nother one until November. At the end of the day, we did end up trying to push him for this game. Maybe that's why he suffered the relapse. And again, now he can take his time. We were trying to bring him back for Clásico. I think he also wanted to be back for the game as well. I think our run after Clásico isn't too bad as long as he's 100% fit for Chelsea. That's, I think, the most important thing right now. Again, his wife came out. They were at the camp now. They posted, said he'll be back stronger. So he's out. He's out till after November international break. So I'll miss it for like what? Espanyol, Elche, games that we should be okay with. But again, he has suffered his second relapse. But again, things are looking good. In terms of it's not a serious relapse, more so because he pushed himself. He's not re-injured himself or suffered a new injury. He's going to prolong his recovery time. So hopefully the things there will go well. But no Raphinha for El Clásico and no Raphinha until the November international break concludes. Time now to get into the press conference reaction of your boy Marcus Sorg, the assistant manager of Hansi Flick. Due to the fact that Hansi Flick is suspended for this game, he does not have to do the press conferences. So before the match and after the match, press conferences will be done by his assistant Marcus Sorg. Gave us some semi-decent updates. We're gonna get into it. Of course, he was asked on Kounde, saying that Jules Kounde trained this morning, and we have to wait and see his reaction after the session. We haven't decided if he's gonna be in the starting 11 tomorrow or not. Asked on Lamin's comments, and Lamin's a top player, and he'll be motivated for tomorrow. Hopefully he can give us a great game. On the absence of Flick, we will always miss Hansi when he's not there. He's the most important part of the team, and we know what we have to do to achieve success. On the absence of Raphinha and Ferran, look, for Raphinha will not be available for this game, but we have enough players. We'll try to see if we get Ferran Torres on the pitch, but everything will be decided tomorrow. On leading El Clásico from the bench, from his perspective, look, I'm very proud to be leading from the bench. It'll be a tough match. Controlling possession and pressing will be key. On the battle between Lamine Yamal and Alvaro Carreras, Lamine is always motivated. If I remember correctly, we won every game against Benfica last season, which of course he's not wrong. On the sensation before El Clásico, we have a good transition, and if we want to win at the Bernabeu, we have to stay united, press well as one block. If we do that, we'll have good chances of winning. I'm playing at the Bernabeu. At the Bernabeu, you never know what might happen. There are many emotions, and we're ready for them. On what threat Madrid can actually offer, the biggest chance is that they press very well, especially in the attacking line. On the center back partnership for tomorrow's match, normally it's better to play with the same lineup, but we had many injuries. We had to make changes. When you play 60 matches a year, it's impossible to always keep the same players consistently. Makes a good point there on how Hansi Flick is taking the absence emotionally and physically for the match. Look, Hansi Flick is motivated and is in very good spirits. On who's the favorite for the Clásico, that right now I see the Clásico very, very even at 50-50. He was asked again on Flick's absence, and look, his presence is very important because the players have confidence in him. And what's needed from Barcelona to win El Clásico, we have to do our job well, press and keep the ball on the high line. If we change that, we'll lose our structure, and that won't help. On the referees, we have to stay focused on the game and nothing else. Don't think about the referees. Everyone makes mistakes, and we should always discuss that we can't control. On the aspect of Barcelona's game, we've analyzed the match well. If we lose, we have to learn, and we have now solutions. The players are barely losing the ball anymore. On Vinny and Mbappe, we always talk about the opponent. That's how we prepare. The players will be ready, especially for Vinicius and Mbappe. So he gave some good updates there. Bit of sitting on the fence, but what can you do? I do think the absence of Flick will be very, very interesting, and we're going to see how the team do adjust to it. But again, like everyone else has mentioned, this El Clásico is very much even. And that concluded Mark Sorg's press conference reaction ahead of the match against Real Madrid tomorrow. Let's now get into the lineup prediction. We're going to start with the manager, of course, Hansi Flick. Despite not being there, he will select the team and make all the changes and stuff like that. So let's get and see what I believe his lineup will be, and it's on the screen right now. I think he'll go with Szczesny in goal, a back four of Jules Kounde, Eric Garcia, Pau Cubarsí, and Alejandro Balde, a midfield three of Frankie de Jong, Casado, and Pedri, a front three of Lamine Yamal, Marcus Rashford, and Fermin Lopez. Starting in the back five, of course, the big question is, will Araujo come in? He's probably the only one that can come in. I don't think Christensen is really fit enough to start, per se. I don't think he'll bring in Araujo. That's just my feelings. And I think he will also not start Ferran Torres, which of course will mean that Fermin Lopez will see him start on the left-hand side. He could have his absolute balls to the walls, have Pedri in the pivot, Fermin in the 10, and maybe like throw or Tony Fernandez or Rudy on the left, but I don't think Flick will do that. I think Flick will keep the lineup very, very conservative, but also quite strong. Again, midfield three of Casado, de Jong, and Pedri. Again, we hope to see Pedri in that double pivot alongside Frankie and then Fermin in the 10, but I think with the current injuries, no Rafa being back, Ferran maybe don't want to risk him with some games coming up. I don't think he'll do that. I think the only way we'll see a midfield three that we all want probably in de Jong, Pedri, and Fermin is if he either puts Tony, Dro, or Rooney on the left, which I don't think he will. Of course, he could surprise us and put Pedri in the pivot, Fermin in the 10, Rashford on the left, and then Ferran Torres up front, but we'll wait and see what he decides. I think he won't take that risk if Ferran Torres isn't 100% ready to start and play at least an hour of football. Again, he got the clearance for the Olympiacos game, did not feature in the Olympiacos games. I don't know if we're just saving it for the Clásico or what, but this is a line I think that Hansi Flick will select for this match. But of course, in the comments down below, let me know what you think Flick will go with. Now I'm going to show you guys my lineup, what I would do if I was the Barcelona coach, and I have made a few changes from Flick's lineup prediction. You can see my lineup on the screen right now. First, I want to talk about that front six. I would risk for that. I think the balance of the team is so important to the point that I would risk it for him. It's not that I don't trust Casado in the pivot, or I don't trust Fermin Lopez out wide. I just want to prioritize balance. I think the most important thing for me when I was picking my lineup is that Fermin is in the 10 no matter what. And that's how I came out with it. I would rather put Fermin in the 10, Rashford up top, and then Rooney, Dro, or Tony on the left, than put Fermin Lopez on the left. That is my perspective. So I would risk Ferran. He is fit. So I would put him on top, Rashford on the left, Lamine on the right, midfield three of Fermin, Pedri, and de Jong. And in the defense, I have brought in Araujo for Kounde. I was going to drop Kounde anyways, and now looks like he's fit, but maybe not at 100%, maybe that like 95%. I would drop him anyways for this game. He has not been performing whatsoever. I want to see Eric on the left and Araujo as well. Hopefully the two combinations can, nullify and keep Vinicius Jr. quiet. And this would be my lineup for the game. I think it's the most balanced one. If you want to start maybe Kounde ahead of Eric Garcia, then sure, but Eric Garcia has been our best defender. Maybe you want to go with Araujo, Eric, and Kounde, but then you want to have that passing ability of Cubarsí in this game, even though I think he has been underperforming a lot. For me, the main one in the defense is Araujo and Balde. The rest, it's up for debate, and there's no, I think, right answer. I think you should start Araujo in this game. You need the height on corner kicks. You need the pace in behind, especially during the high line. Yes, his tactical intelligence might not be the best, but this season, he has been okay in the big moments, so I'd give him this chance. And again, he tends to mess up in Europe, not in Spain. So this will be the lineup that I was left for this match, but of course, in the comments down below, let me know if you're going to pick my lineup or Flick's lineup. Time now for my score prediction. What do I believe the result will be in this match? You can see my score prediction there in the caption. I've gone with Barcelona winning this game by 3-0. It's a bit of a banter prediction. I've said it on a few shows, so I'll keep it consistent in my video as well. I would not place a single dollar bet that Barcelona would win this game 3-0. I just think this game is going to be so tight. There's so many different ways it can go. I think the main thing for me is that I do see both teams scoring in this game. I can see a high scoring victory for someone, a 2-1 win, a 3-2. I don't really see a 4-2 or a 4-3. I don't think any team will score more than 3 goals, but I think this game quite clearly has a draw written all over it. But the issue is there has not been a draw in El Clásico for 5 to 6 years now. The way that this game is going, the way that both teams have been performing this season, it's so close to the point I think the most likely result is a draw, but either team had the capabilities to nick a win. I would be surprised if either team dominated the game, like absolutely cook, 3-0, 4-0 victory, emphatic champagne football. I'd be shocked if either of those teams do that. I think it would be quite a conservative game with each team trying to, nullify and try to exploit the weaknesses of the other team. That's why I think it'll be a high scoring game a little bit, and also someone who could potentially win this game. But my official on paper prediction is a 3-0 win to Barcelona. But of course, in the comments down below, let me know what you think the scoreline will be. So that's a match preview for Real Madrid versus Barcelona in La Liga. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, in the comments down below as well, let me know your thoughts on everything we did discuss. The main thing on our firstly, of course, is your score prediction, and secondly on those lineups. Firstly, would I pick my lineup or Flick's lineup? What do you think Flick would go with? What would you go with if you're the manager? Leave me all your thoughts down below, and of course make sure you guys subscribe down below as well if you haven't already, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the live watch along. Set the reminder on the screen and come and join me and watch the game with me. Follow Chef of the Match by my match review. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Big game ahead, nothing but the win. Take care, and Forza Barca.